If I told you that I carried out horrible crimes against innocent elderly people, would you believe me? Would you alert authorities? None of the people Elizabeth Wettlaufer told about what she'd been up to said a word. So, she kept doing it. Elizabeth Tracy May Beth Wettlaufer is one of Canada's most notorious citizens. She is a formerly registered nurse who took the of 8 seniors in her care and made 6 more attempts over 9 years, confessing to anyone who would listen along the way. Beth was born and raised in a rural community near Woodstock, Ontario. She was an oddball, an outcast who spent most of her time alone, although she did participate in band and choir. She had no luck making friends and was often made fun of. She grew up in a rigorously religious household, which helped keep her burgeoning bisexuality under wraps. Knowing her family would not accept it, and believing it was inherently wrong, Beth suppressed her feelings until later in life. She graduated from high school and went on to college and eventually nursing school. Making good grades and working hard, she made a few college friends and began to open up as a person. In church, she met a long-haul trucker, Daniel Wettlaufer, and the two married in 1997. Their marriage was a happy one at first. Soon, however, Daniel's long work hours and time away from home began to break the couple apart. Despite being married 10 years, they never had children. During her marriage, Beth shared her bisexuality with her husband, who did not understand or condone it. That, among the regular issues married people face, eventually led to their divorce in 2007. Beth was unhappy about the divorce, and her personality began to change drastically. She was angry and frustrated with her life. Besides the divorce, she was becoming increasingly stressed with the dementia patients she cared for. Life changed drastically for Beth at this point. She developed a problem with drinking and opioids to cope with her divorce and the unsuccessful romantic relationships with women she tried to forge. Nothing was working out for her. She did manage to get herself a good job during 2007 at Crescent Care's long-term care facility. Her education and work experience made her enticing to the company. She started out strong. Initially, her co-workers were impressed with her skills and caring demeanor. Her work was impeccable and her knowledge admirable. As time wore on, she was chastised several times for coming to work inebriated and even passing out in the center's basement during the night shift. Her medicine counts were off and other nurses were complaining about her careless behavior. Beth was suspended from Crescent Care 4 times for medication-related errors until she was finally fired for the infraction in 2014. No one ever suspected the errors were not mistakes, or that the loss of many patients over the years had not been due to age or disease, but at the hand of Beth Wettlaufer and a syringe full of insulin. As one would expect, Beth's personal life was even messier around this time. She'd admitted herself into the hospital more than once and was diagnosed with depression, borderline personality disorder, and given several medications. Almost as soon as she started working at the care facility, she started stealing medicine left after a patient passed away and drinking before and on the job. She was spinning out of control. Beth set her eyes on her first target sometime in the last half of 2007, injected Clotilda Adriano and Albina de Medeiros, 87 and 88-year-old sisters, with insulin. Insulin excess is difficult to detect. If not specifically looked for, it can be missed as a cause of expiration. It did not work as she hoped, and no one was the wiser. Her second attempt was successful when she administered 84-year-old James Silcox a lethal dose of insulin. Next came Maurice Granite, 84, Gladys Millard, 87, Helen Matheson, 95, Mary Zerowinski, 96, Helen Young, 90, and Maureen Pickering, 79. One by one, she picked them off like empty bottles on a fence post, all the while stealing medications. Only days after Maureen Pickering's passing, Beth was finally fired from her nursing job. She jumped around from job to job at various nursing homes until she landed at Meadow Park Facility in London, Ontario in 2014. She was an old pro at her hostile habit by this time and had become so complacent in her role that she began telling people what she was doing. Over the course of her career, she told a former lover, a student nurse at Crescent, a pastor and his wife, an attorney, and a former girlfriend, none of whom reported her to authorities. Some said they would if they found out she'd struck again, but others dismissed her confessions entirely. She later told the police she tried to get help a couple of times.
Yeah, I had a pastor that I told me, prayed over me and told me I'd be fine. And that was God's grace.
Meadow Park's long-term care facility was where Beth Wettlaufer took her final, that of 70-year-old Arpad Horvath, in August 2014. In August 2016, Beth was reassigned to a position at an elementary school administering insulin to diabetic children. Afraid she would be urged to hurt the children in her new position, she quit her job, packed her car, and took off driving for 2 days before deciding she couldn't run from the problem and came back. She knew that she had to stop what she was doing, but didn't know how. 2 weeks later, she admitted herself into rehab and started talking. Someone finally listened. Immediately after telling staff what she'd done, Beth resigned from her nursing status with the College of Nurses, telling them she had deliberately harmed patients in her care in a 4-page handwritten fax. Police first brought Beth in for questioning in late September 2016. In a 2-hour videotaped confession, Beth told them everyone she had hurt and everyone she had tried to hurt. It was a voice from God, she claimed, saying that she would hear the voice and heed its commands to administer the insulin. She was saving people who didn't want to live anymore. She also said James Silcox, the first of her crimes, was a lecher, that he grabbed at nurses and told inappropriate stories as if maybe that were a reason she had targeted him.
He would say horribly inappropriate things about his wife.
Beth took investigators through every incident she had been part of, moment by moment.
Well, there were other people that had done it too who didn't die.
Beth told police of her substance problems, but admitted that she was sober at each incident and knew what she was doing. Inebriation is not a defense in Canada, but if she had been under the influence, it could have been a factor in determining if she planned her actions or if they were impulsive. In Beth's case, it may have gotten her a lesser sentence. She waived her preliminary hearing and went straight to trial, where she pled guilty to all 14 charges stemming from her insulin injections, including her unsuccessful attempts. The judge handed her a life sentence with no eligibility for parole for 25 years on all 8 counts of first-degree insulin injections, a sentence of 10 years for the attempted injections, and 7 years for the 2 aggravated charges in the Clotilde Adriano and Albina de Medeiros cases. Elizabeth Tracy May Beth Wettlaufer was 49 years old when she was finally locked up for her crimes on September 29, 2016 in Ontario, Canada. This case triggered widespread public outrage and made international headlines. It spawned lawsuits against Wettlaufer and the nursing homes that employed her, as well as a comprehensive provincial inquiry into flaws in Ontario's long-term care system that is currently still in progress as of 2021. So, what do you think? If someone told you they had taken someone else's, would you believe them? Beth told one person after the next. Some believed her, some didn't. But no one turned her in. Why not? Let us know your thoughts below. What's your theory on how she got away with it for so long without anyone at work figuring it out? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell to get new content while it's hot, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, leave the nightlight on.